Resurgent India Knowledge Series presents virtual session on managing compliances and other aspects of ease of doing business for startups. Mr. K.K. Gupta, Director, Resurgent India Limited. Mr. K.K. Gupta is currently associated with Resurgent India Limited as Director, handling all kind of financial worries of the clients, core competence in the field of corporate finance and management consultancy, and believes in providing complete and hassle-free solutions to the clients at Resurgent India. It is a knowledge-oriented, full-service investment bank and financial consultancy firm that provides service in area of debt, equity and transaction advisory. Mr. Praveen Dokania, Chief Financial Officer, Goods and Services Tax Network. Praveen is the Chief Financial Officer of Goods and Service Tax Network, GSTN, the technology backbone of India's biggest tax reform, a mentor and angel for startups. He is an award-winner CFO, seasoned professional equipped with India's best financial qualifications IECA, ICWA, CS. He is an active member of various industry chambers and bodies, and contributor in various policies frameworks mainly in growth of digital economy. He is a thought leader and speaks his various forum about leadership, future of finance, innovation and growth. Dr. Jasmine B. Gupta, CEO and co-founder, LXME. Jasmine B. Gupta is skilled in banking, sales, PL management, CX, strategic alliances, fintechs, and new banks, business management, L&D, analytics, digital banking, project and product management, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Her initiatives have won the 8th BPC Award for the Best Fintech Alliance of the Year and IDC's Industry Innovation in Omni Experience Award 2021, Scotch Award and Finovati Award 2022. She has been conferred India's Inspiring Leader Award 2021 and Global Fintech Excellence in Leadership Award 2022 by Elites BFSI as well as APAC BFSI Finovation Leadership Award 2022 by APAC News Network. Ms. Nazneen Nichapuria, Head Corporate Commercial Practice, A&B Legal. Nazneen is a partner with A&B Legal since 2014 and heads the private equity, M&A and general corporate practice of the firm. She has more than 12 years of experience in the legal profession and specializes in commercial contracts, intellectual property rights, private equity and venture capital investments, startup funding, acquisitions, joint ventures and cross-border transactions. Mr. Nitin Bhuwania, Senior VP and Head Legal, EaseBuzz. Nitin Bhuwania is Senior Vice President and Head of Legal at EaseBuzz. He has 14+ years of financial services experience, especially in the corporate legal arena. He previously worked with companies like Piramal Capital, L&T Financial Services, Axis Bank, National Stock Exchange of India. His contributions and achievements are in mergers and acquisitions, corporate law, international taxation, the foreign inflow of funds, corporate reorganization activity, taxes, and real estate laws. Mr. Karun Gupta, Head of Finance, Salesforce India. Karun Gupta is the Head of Finance for Salesforce India, where he is responsible to provide end-to-end financial leadership and partners with the Salesforce India leadership team to drive sustainable growth. Proven finance professional with 17+ years of rich and diverse experience across multiple finance leadership roles spanning different industries and world's top companies like Microsoft, Airtel, and Infosys. Karun is passionate about people, processes and culture, and enabling organizations realize their full growth potential while maximizing value for the stakeholders.
Good evening, friends. I am K.K. Gupta, Director, Resurgent India, your host. On the request of our members, of the association and our entrepreneur, even the bankers, we tried to have this important subject of startup, merging compliances and other aspect of ease of doing business for startup. You know the ease of business, which was started by the World Bank in 2002. 190 countries participated, and the India rank, which was 142 in the year 2014, they improved to 63. Our Honorable Prime Minister says that we must have 50 ranking. I think this is a big object. All the state and other agencies are also following the ease of doing business. Now, point is for a startup, what is ease of doing business is? Important aspect is opening of the business. When any startup want to open the business, he require a proper location. Then important aspect is assessing the finance. We must get the finance for that. Then dealing with the day-to-day operations, he should be comfortable, whether you're talking about the lessons or other requirement, statutory requirement of the government. Then we are talking operation in a secure business environments. I think these are the major aspects for any startup. So Indian government has taken a big steps. Either we are talking about the Insolvency and Banking Code 2016, we are talking about Goods and Services Act 2017, discriminalizations under Company Act 2013, Arbitration Reconciliation Amendment Act, and reduction in corporate tax 30% to 25% for a mid-sized company, and labor reform in state. These are the aspects to India government had taken up. The result is that now India is the third largest startup ecosystem globally. At present, we are having, as on 31st of May, available with me the figure of 31st May 23, 108 unicorn with the total valuations of US dollar 340.80 billion, with 77,000 recognized startup as of 2022. The valuation for a startup, as a worth of the startup, should be 1 billion, we'll say 100 crore rupees. You see that how the India has progressed after USA, after China. We are the largest economy under the unicorns, and it is also envisaged that by 2025 we have a 5 trillion economy. These are the major aspects and action being taken for a startup, a stand-up of India and digital India. Now we are talking about the digital India or artificial intelligence, or we are talking about the new bank. So many financial institutions, either it has been recognized by the Reserve Bank of India or not recognized, the fintech is playing very important role. I will not take much time. We have a 5 minutes. The profile of the panelists you have already seen for that. I will not going to repeat that, but why? First of all, I'm coming to say Karan Gupta, who is head of finance, Salesforce India. Gupta sir, you know that India is having 63 ranks. So whether state, specific region providing a favorable environment for a startup, this is the most important aspect which any startup will want to know. Any state or any specific region in your mind where the startup can start and get all the information, what I have told you, 6 or 7 parameters, so that they can flourish their business. Mr. Gupta, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gupta, and very good afternoon to everybody. And thank you for having me here on this panel. I think we all heard about the introduction and the story unfolding in India when it comes to the whole startup ecosystem. I think one heartening thing to see is that the growth of the startups and origination of the startups is getting more broad-based. I am personally extremely delighted when I see the startups coming out of tier 2, tier 3 cities and really making it big. Now, having said that, I think to your point of the specific regions, of course, traditionally, if you look at, I think the cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi NCR, or Chennai to an extent were considered as the strongholds when it comes to the initiation and growth of the startups. Few things which I think really helped these places or states to make a head start. First, I believe, is the policy side of the house. I think some of the state governments have been quite active when it comes to creating policies specifically for the startups. States like Karnataka and Maharashtra, for example, have created specific startup policies and incubator programs, which really provide startups end-to-end support that they need to register and grow. So some of the supports like the access to funding, advisors or mentorships or networking opportunities or some tax benefits that they were actually providing to these startups really helped these states to get some of the head start when it comes to penetration of the startups in the country. Second factor, which I think we need to learn and replicate across is embracing of the technology. Mr. Gupta spoke about digital transformation, and I think India is really standing out with its digital stack, which is now a global highlight in terms of how we have really progressed on a digital stack side of the house. I think some states have been more progressive when it comes to really embracing technology. The entire support system in terms of procurement, in terms of supply chain, in terms of the tax filings, in terms of single window clearance for the startup, etc. I think some states or some regions are making more progress while they are making it more technology driven, which is taking away the human intervention and really making it easier for the startups to come and grow in that particular area. So I think the embracing of the technology wholeheartedly in the entire input to output cycle and really enabling startups to get self-started in a lot of these metrics is really helping some states to get head start. And third point that I want to put forward is I think some states are really taking initiatives when it comes to reskilling of the youth and the workforce in their particular communities. We, for example, from a Salesforce perspective, have partnered with few state governments where we are actually, skilling a lot of universities and college youths by the new age technology skills. Similarly, I know some states like Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are really driving entrepreneurial education in some of their, institutions, which really helps more and more people as they qualify or pass out to think of the startup as an option and really go and make it big. So I think some of these initiatives in terms of startup specific and startup friendly policies, in terms of how we are adopting technology across the board and how we are really taking the reskilling element into play, because people as they're graduating, how are we making the education more progressive so that we create more people with entrepreneurial bent of mind, I think are some of the learnings that we have seen from the places that have made head start. But as I said at the beginning, I think it's great to see some of these things are now already getting replicated. And we see a lot of startups coming from cities like Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Assam, Goa. I think this is just a testimony to how this wave is actually really spreading across. And if we can do more of that across the country, we will see a lot more diverse and broad-based growth in the country.
Very nice, Mr. Gupta. Like what you're talking about the technology aspects. For a startup, technology is the most important aspect. So you feel that once the technology has been developed in India, because we are a very, very advanced under the IT sector. So whether international market, we can have some role for that for the startup. Because the startup, as we understand, we are a third country having a unicorn, 108 unicorn in India. I think that we are doing it. Whether this unicorn can compete in the international market, have any view on that domestic business to international? Have anything in your idea?
Mr. Gupta, I think very fair point. I think, of course, what technology is doing, it is actually narrowing the gap between the access and the facilities that startups in India have versus what startups used to have, say, in the West. So I think technology is really helping us narrowing down that gap. And that is the reason that you see a lot of startups coming from India and really making it big. And I'm so glad to see when a lot of startups, when you look at it, they are expanding globally, and some of the India-made ideas and India-made products are actually being expanded to the markets overseas. Now, having said that, I mean, is there something to learn from the growth of startups in the West? Definitely, yes. And I think in India, we are already on that path. I think it's just a matter of accelerating some of the points which West has adopted really well. And just a couple of points, if I really want to highlight, which I think Indian startups has to double down on. First, I would say, of course, is the whole the fostering the culture of innovation and risk taking. So this is something that we are seeing is really growing and developing as we speak in India. But where West has really taken a head start and really make it big is because there is an automatic culture of innovation and risk taking. So we need to create and foster that type of a culture, which we can definitely learn and encourage more and more people to do experiments and learn quickly from the failures and continue to move ahead to make their idea something really big. And second thing, Mr. Gupta, I think which is important is that a lot of startups in the West have access to a lot of advisors and mentors, right? And in the growth of a startup, I believe having the right set of advisors and mentors play a very important role, because starting a startup is not an easy business. There are a lot of things that you will have to look at as founders, and it could invariably, you could overlook certain aspects, in the heat of growing your business. So having the right mentors and advisors around you, which can keep you honest, which can continue to push you on the right path, which can continue to guide you as you go up the curve, I think is another example and another learning that we have seen West does so well. And the last point, I think, which is again getting better in India, is West always had access to capital, which was available in a more programmatic fashion and more structured way. But now we see a lot more appetite for large funds to come and invest in India. There are a lot of incubators and accelerators. Some of the large companies are taking a lot of initiatives. For example, we at Salesforce have a full-blown Salesforce startup program. We are actually providing that layer to all the startups to come and build their portfolio on the Salesforce ecosystem. And we are also helping them create revenue opportunities to list their products on our App Exchange program. So I think a lot of companies are coming forward where they're mentoring startups, creating those accelerator programs. But I think if we can create a culture of risk taking, if we can create a culture of innovation, we can have right people coming forward to mentor those organizations, I think we will see the divide between India and the West coming down, and we will see a lot more startups from India really making it big and making it the global stage.
Very nice, Mr. Gupta. I think this is a major crux of the things that India can do a wonder under a startup or any entrepreneurs you can send on the SME sector also. By introduction of the Digital India or Stand-up India or Make in India, I think these are the important aspects which played for the growth of the economy in the Indian economy. I will come back to you, Mr. Gupta. I am coming to Nitin Varnwaniya, who is Senior President, Vice President, and Head of Legal, Emergence. Mr. Nitin, you listen to Mr. Gupta.
Yeah.
He mentioned about the failures. So what are the challenges startups are being faced so that they are not very successful? Because when we are talking to the banker, to the financial institution, to investor, they are very shy to give any loans to the people because they are managing from their friends and relations or some other borrowing from a covered funds or something like that. So have any view on that, the key challenges faced by the startup, Mr. Nitin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gupta. And in fact, you were too true and right when you said we have given almost birth to 108 unicorns in the world. And Mr. Karun Gupta was also talking about how India is progressing. I am also sitting in a startup. We are and we are from a tier 2 town like Pune. Maybe like Pune has developed enough. But when you talk about challenges, and I straight away focus to that area of challenges what the startup face. The startups are known for their vigor for bringing something new, bringing a technology and the speed. In this all speed, technology, vigor, where I have seen most of the startups lag around or are not able to compete with the bigger corporates or not able to rise to the bars what the expectation of the government is, the speed. When still the government is doing a lot for ease of doing business, I don't deny, but the very bottom line what the startup is all about is innovation, and with innovation comes the new thing, and the market is very fragmented. It's so fragmented that the idea incorporated by one startup gets easily replicated by the startup. So when it comes to challenges, startups still are not aware where they can actually patent their innovation, what they're talking about. When it comes to availing funds, the very basic question asked by the bankers are like, how long you have been in market? If I am a startup, the very my name itself says I'm a startup. The very first question, how long you have been in market? We need last 3 years balance sheet. So all of these, when it comes down, when you accessing the capital, then, and you said right now that the startups have to go towards friends, people, why you have to go towards friends? Because the institutional mechanism is still not able to give them the right resource, right fund. Having said that, Mr. Karun Gupta said very well, few states like Bangalore, Karnataka, Bangalore, Telangana, Hyderabad, have done, an NCR region have done really good in that sense, because the ecosystem, the kind of profile of people whom they used to meet around, the founders had a connect with, was a kind of a place where they can actually exchange ideas. But when it comes to tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, this becomes very difficult. No doubt the digital India and the communication has helped us. In fact, one of the things which has really changed and which used to be a big pain for a startup is like communicating with the departments of government. Now, at least, the lot of paperwork used to be done. The paperworks have moved online. So the shift of that consistent shift of paperwork moving online is still a task or process, I say. Because when you start applying the basic MCA forms, you find the MCA website is down, or again you're finding issues, challenges in doing those compliances. So our mood point is we are still evolving, we are growing, but if you see the index, though we are a resilient people, Indians are known for the resilience and competitive attitude. But if you really see the index, we are still lagging behind from the far, very, very different countries like Sri Lanka or New Zealand. If you see those countries, the license requirement, when you talk about license, if I have to start a startup, and if you say that you want to start a food business, there are not even like the first thing people are aware of, like FSS license. It's not only FSS license. When they get into the business, they start realizing it. They need a fire safety license. They need the shops and establishments. So these are basic things, but still there is a huge list, long list of license, long list of act. And I think the startups start focusing not there. They start focusing more on the sales part, because that's what they want to generate revenue, and they don't have source to capital. Because I said right, because the problem is people need legacy from the startups. So I think these are like broadly couple of 2-3 challenges which I can point out and which is there in the ecosystem of startup.
Very nice, Mr. Nathan. When you're talking about the innovation, I think innovation is the most important aspect for a startup, because innovation is coming very, very fast. So you're also talking about the capital. I think this is also important aspect to bank is used to ask 3-year balance sheet. When it is name a startup, so how you can give a 3-year balance sheet? So I conducted one webinar on where I call the startup and also the investors. So investor was asking if the project is okay, if it is economically or technically viability is there. So their qualification is a security for me. And they are giving some, you can say, equity, something like that. Because the banker is still shy. I agree with you. So that is a source of capital is very less. So important aspect is challenge is the capital. And you also talk about the online communication or something like that. I think this is also lacking. So, so what is the solution, sir? Any view on that? Challenges are there. Still, we are at 108 Unicron. Any solution in your mind? These are the
Okay. I said that we are resilient people and India is a resilient country. We'll keep giving birth to challenges. And challenges are I can say the challenges are the real point of innovation. The necessity, necessity brings innovation. Uh, I'll just flip the what we discuss and just go around that and talk about it. Online mechanism, there are challenges, but at least we are seeing something there. One thing what has really evolved well in this country is the payment mechanism, and I belong to that industry. The digital payment in India, I can say, is at surpass with any other country. It's better than other countries. The UPI is the brainchild what India has given, and the world is adopting that. And it's not only UPI. The UPI has the safety checks and balances also there. The two-factor authentication, still the West is adopting it. It's there with us. So I think we are evolving. There is a change which is happening on that ground. The digital payment has moved fast, but along with the payment, the compliances part still need to catch up to that level. When I say that level, the things need to get automated, digitized, so that people are not only able to make the payment there, they're able to get the invoices online, which few startups are trying to solve that problem. Because again, government makes a law first and then they start looking for a solution. So
I agree, sir. I agree.
So even the same GST, it's well implemented, a thought through planned way, but we have seen the issues, hurdles, what it has been, and no doubt there is a huge country what we are dealing with. When you're dealing with a population of not even 1.3, it's 1.4 plus, which should be there. The statistics of 2011 will move out in 33. So when you're dealing such a huge population and bringing the entire population to mainstream under the one language is not an easy task, I don't deny. But still, government is trying to do their best. They have brought out lot of innovative solutions, like even the Spice Plus form which MCA has brought on. The 10 registration happens automatically. So at least people are aware that the PAN, GST number registration, all of the EPF number registration in Maharashtra. If you are in Maharashtra, the PT professional tax registration, all of this has to have take place before you get a license. Though it creates a problem, but at least you are being compliant. So, and then people and the ecosystem, the professional ecosystem which is getting developed, like the chartered content lawyers, the CAs, they are now better placed to say to their client, like, you need to do this 10 things, then you will be getting company license. So at least it's a barrier, but it's bringing out something, like start with the compliances in place. So I think easing this process more, making it fast, speed is something which we are looking at. The payments have gone very speed. You can transfer money anytime, anywhere in this country, 24/7. The limits are there because there need to be some checks always. We are evolving on that place. But along with it, the communication with the government need to go fast. The communication among the private sector is very fast. You see a mail, you get a reply. I feel like, if a car is given to a private body, they will dismantle the entire car and assemble it back again and give it to you in the next day, because there are people who are appointed for a particular task. When it goes to the government, still people have struggled to find out this is under which department, this particular issue is under which department.
Agree, Nitin.
And I think it's more about government need to make people more about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it's more about making people aware. Professionals can bring a change, and startups also startups have also started learning, the importance of corporate governance, compliances, and they started building up their risk team, compliance team, the legal team, which is there. So, though making the professional ecosystem should be one of the key aspects which government should look forward. And this is one of the way I think we can mitigate these challenges, what we are looking at.
Thank you, Nitin. I think government has done a lot of things. Still, as you mentioned, something further has to do it to expedite the things. So their communication should be very fast and decision should be very fast. That's why we can progress and we can have Indian economy can be further be strengthened. Now I will come back to Mr. Nitin, to you. Now I'm coming to Nazneen Ichapuria, Head Corporate Commercial Practice, A&B Legal. Madam,
Yes,
you're expert in the legal side. The
sir.
major aspect, process of obtaining intellectual property right and how it can be effective resolution mechanisms. Because once a startup going to purchase a property, so that when intellectual property right, how they can acquire, I think this is a important issue. And also ease of doing business also is one of the, you can say, item to be under consideration. Have any view, madam?
Absolutely, sir. Like you said, technology and innovation is what is giving the startups in India a competitive edge, which is helping them foster, grow, and also make a mark globally. Like you rightly mentioned, the 108 unicorns that have come out, most of them are also technology-backed or technology-driven, which has somewhere help them make their mark globally, right? And make them attractive for different investors who would want to associate with them, nurture them, and invest in these startups. So that is one of the core areas which startups and all regulators in India, the government, which has come up with so many initiatives for startups, need to definitely focus on. And it is not that the government doesn't realize about the significance of protecting IP and making IP protection and IP registration a more streamlined and efficient process for startups. So they have been concentrating on this aspect. The central government had, as far back in 2016, initially started off the scheme for facilitating startups and promoting intellectual property rights for them. So under this scheme, what they had what they had promulgated was to appoint facilitators who would give pro bono advice on the IPR strategy and mentoring to various startups. And the consultation fees of these facilitators would actually be funded by the government. It would not have to be borne by the startups themselves. The other initiatives that time and again the government has been trying to give to different startups in this aspect is that if they are having the registration certificate, there are various concessional registration fees which are applicable to them as opposed to other businesses which are applying for similar IP rights and all. So yes, definitely this aspect has been recognized and given importance to by the government. But since the startup world is so dynamic and evolving and developing at such a fast pace, it is important that the government also, to keep facilitating them, keeps coming up proactively with new measures and initiatives for them. So I think one of the areas where they could be focusing more on is to get in maybe a fast track mechanism for helping them with the actual registration process. See, because at the end of the day, they are getting a discounted rate in terms of the fees. They are getting mentorship and advisory in terms of the IPR strategy that they need to follow. But at the end of the day, the IPR registration process that they have to follow is the same as any other business, right? And like Nitin also mentioned earlier, once it goes into any regulatory process, the challenge is that the files don't really move much faster. So we don't want our startups to lose out on that competitive technology edge that they have, just because, you know, the patent or the trademark or the copyright or the unique innovation that they have come up with is somewhere stuck in the process or is stuck between these files, right? So one of the thoughts that that we were coming across, and this is a common dialogue that we have with startups whom we commonly keep working on, is, you know, it would be really beneficial if they had some sort of a fast track mechanism which was affordable and which they could follow in order to hasten up the process that they need to follow for the IPR registration. So there is work being done on this front also. The Patents Act process also has been making efforts to set up a fast track mechanism in place, and there is a fast track mechanism in place for startups, but there are definitely a lot of still gray areas over there where we can make the process much more efficient, right?
Very nice, madam, but you are mentioning about the facilitator.
That's right.
Government is funding.
Right.
And you also mentioned of the recession, some fees are there. How it
Yes.
is effective, this facilitator? Because you are talking about facilitator,
Yeah.
arbitrations, because all cases are going under the arbitrations. Arbitration take its own time for that. For
Right.
any concession are given to arbitration also beside the facilitator what you're talking about?
So arbitrators mainly come into the picture when there is some sort of dispute that comes into the picture, say in between the founders of these startups, or in terms of any infringement action that they need to pursue to protect their innovation or technology. Then they need to go for a court process or a litigation process to help with this, right? So as of now, when as regards arbitration process and all, I mean, there is no specific process specifically recognized or set up for registered startups. The way we have, say, probably under the MSME Act, where if you are a registered MSME and there are some recovery processes that you need to initiate against the debtors, they have a specific dedicated facilitation cell, MSME facilitation cell, where they can approach and get these sort of disputes taken up on a fast track mechanism, right? So maybe something similar for startups when it comes to protecting their IP, to facilitate them, like a dedicated ADR system for them, is something that may be the need of the hour, which would help them take up these challenges and face them more effectively. Because at the end of the day, we want our startups to have enough time and resources to focus on constructive business and taking the business operations forward, and not getting stuck in the rut with dealing with various authorities, facilitators, and regulators in terms of managing the time and the process, right? So that is definitely something that we can do to ease the burden for them.
Madam, since you are doing for the legal and expertise under the field, have any suggestion so that all the dispute can be expediently, you can say, settled?
Right.
Any law is required, or you can say for this startup? Because this is the most important issue. Any dispute
Definitely.
taking years together and court staying, because this is a civil dispute. This is not a criminal or something like that. And it takes
Absolutely.
its own time. Have any suggestion in this respect?
So I feel in this regard, in more than the laws, I think we have definitely have laws and policies in place. I think where the lacuna is, where we still need to do more work, is in terms of a more effective implementation of these laws, right? So if we could focus more on that aspect and have better or faster mechanisms in place, like alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. So one of the popular ones recently is in terms of online dispute resolution platforms, ODRs, you know, where they are trying to take up these type of disputes and try and resolve them, say maybe intersay between the founders, or even between the founders and various vendors, or between the startup businesses and their customers. So idea is to try and resolve these type of disputes very effectively and at a low cost, so that they don't need to get into the system of maybe say litigation or other institutional arbitrations, etc., which are definitely there, but they are more clogged up with the other numerous disputes that the businesses are facing, and the time required for these type of disputes in terms of mitigating the timelines, etc. So that can be taken up as a single focus measure definitely for these startups, so that these type of disputes are handled much more cost efficiently as well as time efficiently. So I think government also should definitely encourage these type of online dispute resolution platforms, because even in terms of human resources and other infrastructure related resources, the investment from the regulators end would be minimal, but at the same time the effectiveness that they would have for startups would be definitely phenomenal.
Very nice. On the line, you can say online, it can be dispute can be settled. What you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Only.
Very nice. Very nice, madam. We'll come back to you. Now I'm coming
Thank you.
to Mr. Praveen Nokania, sir, who is Chief Financial Officer, Goods and Services Tax Network. Sir, there are so many compliances, the regulatory compliances requirement for the startup. What, in your view, steps should be taken for effectively managing all the compliances? Because you are expert for the goods and services tax. This is a most important issue, sir. So, Praveen, sir, have any view on that respect, sir? Unmute कर लीजिए, sir. Unmute.
Okay. Thank you, KK sir.
Sir,
And my other co-panelists. I think the major things has been covered, how startups should be doing the governance, compliances, and all these things. For doing business in any country, either you are in any part of the world, US and other things, you have to comply and obey the law of the land. And startups should also grow in that way. If they want to grow, they have to follow. Either if you see the big business houses, either it's a Tata, Birla, or whoever. So they are following likewise the startup. Maybe initially there could be some relaxation, but eventually they have to grow themselves into that path. We have seen the recent episode of many of the startup or so-called unicorn, edutech and all. They are not able to make the financial closure for last 2-3 years. So what kind of and they are looking for a funding, they are looking for a valuation. When you are not clear on the financial, you are not making the things open, there is no governance policy. So these are the fundamental thing for any of the business, either startup or the grown business, to do the business in any country or whatever way, either on an individual capacity or a startup. You have to obey certain rule. There is some rule in the games and governance. You have to follow that. So we have seen a lot of startup, their valuation has come down. They are on the verge of closure or shutdown because of the non-compliances and the grave governance issue. The big story is going on without naming the big edtech. Still, they are saying that our valuation is remain the same when you are not able to close the financial. So I must say, any business you are running. So first 3-4 things is the fundamental. You should be clean on the any government regulation and the policy what the government has laid down. It's for the betterment and the well-regulated thought. The startup and the other thing is thinking from the one perspective, but the government has to think the thing from the various aspects. They have to balance it. So that's the reason the law has been, after deliberation and after certain things, that has been set and make as a rule, and it has been passed by the parliament. So that's the one thing, and one has to comply with that. So that's the one thing. And second, the startups should be very clean on their transactions and their activity and integrity wise. The other example we have seen that after the financial, when car mechanic company, I won't name it again, it's a unicorn, they have shut down that our total books were fudged. So what kind of a governance, what kind of a regulation that we are telling? So for that coming forward, and the what should be the way forward for the startup? The first, they should make that zero tolerance on the compliances. And these are days, I must say that, and I a bit disagree with my other panelist, Nitin. Lot of things can be done, is doable online. There is no need, and the government systems and other systems are so digitally compliant, except maybe MCA, there is some problem, but other things are so easily compliant. Being a CFO of GSTN, I can see that how things are so transparent and how it makes things easy. So GSTN is the main contributor to make the India's rank higher into the ease of doing business. Earlier, if you have to do business, you have to get the VAT registration and excise registration, then service tax registration. And if you're doing business, you have to get registration in all the 23 states. So now with a single registration, you can do your online transaction, online the compliances and everything. And for the more transparent, you can analyze your business. E-way bill, e-invoices are there. So there is one study was there through e-way bill, the efficiency rate of business has grown by many-fold, because earlier business is not aware that where their truck is stand up. Maybe there is in some Naka, driver has just stand the truck and they are not able to figure it out. And nowadays with the e-way bill, you can figure it out. What is your truck movement? How easily it is passing through. There is no toll Naka, there is nothing, there is no checkpoint. So through e-way bill, you can do that. Invoicing is a one great effort. No other country has even witnesses that total B2B transactions is visible, and it's a paperless kind of a thing. You can see that how much invoices one supplier has raised on you, you are raised on the supplier. So those kind of, and that transaction is even authenticated through stamping and all. And that is now again, that account aggregator that Mr. Gupta, you must be aware, and all this audience must be aware. So through that invoicing, the financing for the startup, for supply chain financing, there are so many doors are being opened. So in that regulation, in that compliances, it gives you the business opportunity in a better way. And if your compliances rating is high, you are in a good compliances, your valuation, your funding, another thing, you will be in a good book. So it's a kind of your CIBIL rating for the startup. You can say in that way.
Sir, in your opinion, I think you are very, very important aspect you touch about, because compliance is very easy. For a startup, you feel that there is need for further simplification of this compliances? You feel like that, or you are not feeling?
No, there are certain things that startups should be relaxed, relaxation should be given. For that, government has already, the startup policies there, for their, tax holidays there, and so many other things are there. There are certain compliances where one should know the data should be captured somewhere, what are the activities the startup is doing. For the sake of a startup you are doing, and there is nowhere in the public domain or nowhere in the government ecosystem, there is nothing available, who are the director, how they are doing transaction, with whom they are doing transaction. So it's not only the startup regulation government has to see, there are so many other aspects. There is so many land of law one has to follow. That's the money laundering, and there are so many other law. So just to capture the in a holistic view, I think they have to follow the land of law, and whatever the requirement is, there must be some data capture is there. If they have to fill a form like other businesses doing, they should also do. There is a professional service agency. The startup has a crunch of manpower, like they don't afford to keep 5-6 people. So there are the professional service agencies, chartered accountants are there. There are a few compliances tools that startup can manage, where the data can be captured. But in my opinion, in my view, I think that one should obey the government regulations. Maybe on a tax holiday, on the monetary side, there could be some relaxation should be given. But compliances is the one thing that everybody should do.
So there is one question, Mr. Praveen, or anybody can also reply. My non-relatives have started a company in the month of January 2023.
Mhm.
One form number 20 is to be filled, but the MCA portal sometime work and sometime not. But still today, he has not been able to file the form on the line. Is there any way to deal with the MCA portal in this regard? Have any
Yeah,
view?
I'm not aware about the MCA piece. I can say more in about the GST, but yeah. See, when there is some technology reform and transformation is being done, so initial hiccup and those kind of things come up, and I just want to add, like when the GSTN has come, it's such a big transformation step, because getting pan India and everybody on the same platform, it's such a huge task. I remember that I used to go for a road show with in all the cities, and taking along FICCI, SOCHAM and all, everybody taking the business community in confidence, and then it has rolled out. And initially there could be, such a major transformation, like the small country, they are not able to fully implement the things. But like, see, in India, where we have 125 crore of people, and we are different religion, different languages, and so many other business dynamics, and we are able to manage that. So that's we must say that it's a great thing.
Yeah.
But regarding your point with the MCA, so at this juncture, I'm not able to say anything.
Nitin, you want to say something, Nitin, for this MCA?
Yeah, so I think MC 20 is annual return, probably the form which they
Yes,
talking about. And it is important form, it need to be filed. If I don't know, he says that he's had facing problem. It's like a penalty of 1 lakh and 1,000 rupees for every officer in default. I am aware of that. And he can take help of any professional CS and go to the local ROC and get it filed. This is very important form to file, what I can understand.
It should be filed on online, or they cannot
This
file.
is filed online. This is filed online. Probably the XBRL format is not able to upload. He should seek help from a professional company secretary.
So he
And,
should
and, and, and maybe one is not filing. If it is a pan-India problem, then there could be a hue and cry.
Yeah.
So maybe one particular form, there
Maybe
could be
that
some.
event on that particular day, the site is low. Otherwise, people have filed it. It's an important form to file.
Then there is one or two question is there that we should say. So, support or manufacturing raw materials, 7 sourcing and marketing support by the government. I think government is also extending the supports for the raw material. You go to the NSI, National Small Industry Corporation, they are supplying the raw material also for the SME sector, for a startup also. So Mr. Sunil Gaurav is saying, I think main aspect of new startup or any business is fund. Now supposing government should help on finance for the newbies, and within the 6-month business should get collapse. Government should take the responsibility of paying back the funds to the lender. Otherwise, good entrepreneur will never approach or done to dream the building of any business empire. Anybody can say something on that? If the business collapse, government should give the fund to the lenders. Have any view of anybody?
If he is a good, so I would like to add, if he is a good founder, if he is thinking that, so he is able to take the risk, and there are plenty of government scheme which give fund, and there is even the government CDB has a venture capital fund, and there are so many loan scheme and other things. So if he is so passionate and he is so self-believe on himself, so definitely he will do good. Why to be pessimistic that if he fail?
Might is the business is not started the business not to have a fail. Although Credit Guarantee Corporation is giving some guarantee. Up to that extent, bank can do it. Like still they will have to pay some amount. When 75% or 65%, the guarantee is given by the Credit Guarantee Corporations.
Yeah.
Gupta sir, like the
That,
question
that,
is within
that,
6 months.
that should not be, you can say, thinking that a government should pay these. That should not be thinking for us.
Hmm.
Right.
And it says that, within 6 months, I don't know which
That,
business flourish
that
in
is
6
also,
months. It's
that is
difficult for us
also,
to understand.
that is
It takes
also
years for the
problem.
business to flourish.
So please
And
see that.
there
the-
is also help available from various incubators and mentors and all also, who in fact help you in those initial 6 months to 1 year period to help ensure that you are not going to be failing. So you make the most of those opportunities rather than looking out for somebody to put the bill for the failure in the
There
6
should be
months,
some
right?
valid reason for the 6 months he is going failed.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
money has gone to drains. So I think this is a major issue. Then Mr. Hardeep is say, I have started one startup. How we represent that? This meeting relating to startup presentation here. You can write to the Resurgent India in any meeting if you want to as a speaker or something like that. We will appreciate that you can come to us. So SKD Sanjay, there should be support to startup to put up in the market raw material input, etc. Support then the business to be established. I already mentioned that the National Small Industry Corporation is providing raw material. Even market support is also available. You can go to the National Small Industry Corporation and get yourself registered with these people. And the MCA portal should be flawless. Why penalty? Government is making law, but difficult to deal with the compliances. CA have not been able to file it online. Anybody can give this reply. They cannot holler, they are faulty as a thing. Let they should complain to the government, or there's no other way.
No, if he's facing an issue in filing, he can put up a request for condonation of the penalty as far as penalty is there.
He should come out with the valid reason. Why
With the condonation of the penalty and with the snapshots.
Point is, they should check up from the others also,
See,
whether they are getting it. If everybody is not getting it, then definitely condone will be there. So that is the point. So I
And the MCA portal was in fact upgrading their technology and trying to expand their bandwidth, which is precisely the reason why over the last couple of months, their accessibility has been not very efficient. But then this has been done in quite a phased manner, and like it's a necessary evil to be able to upgrade and then try and move towards a seemingly flawless working system, right? So it's like work in progress that they are also trying to do.
the 3.0 is live right now. I think it's doing
Yes.
fine. Though
Yes,
that upgrade was
absolutely.
taking some time. Otherwise, it's fine.
Correct, exactly.
I think today webinar was very nice. We are missing Dr. Jasmine B. Gupta, who is also expert, CEO and co-founder of Lexme. I think we was missed his viewpoint. Okay, still we discuss practically all the things for the startup. What are the challenges? What are the suggestions and how other compliances should be done? I think we have covered very nicely all the informations. So here, Resurgent India, we are talking about the Resurgent India platform, where we are a merchant banker, we are also investment banker, and we are conducting viability study for the all accounts. Even we are giving training to the bankers and the NBFC, even the PSUs. Besides that, we are in insolvency also. In all cadre of the financial services, Resurgent India is working for that. We are thankful to all the participants who always give us the suggestions and attending our webinars and giving up the initiatives so that we should hold such webinars frequently. I have no word to express our gratitude on behalf of the Resurgent India and our Association for Financial Advisors of India to all the participants, to all the panelists. Lastly, I want one word from all the panelists. Any suggestion to our listener? Because some bankers are also available, some entrepreneurs are there, some startup are also there. Somebody asking me, any suggestion from the panelist side? So please, in a few words, if you can tell any suggestion. So I'm starting with Mr. Karun Gupta, sir. Mr. Karun Gupta.
So thank you, Mr. Gupta. I think I will just want to close by saying that we are in a good spot in India. There is a lot of resiliency which the economy has shown. We are the fastest growing economies, blended to be third largest pretty soon. And we have seen the wave of entrepreneurship and the startups in the country, which are really solving problems. I think we need to keep that faith, keep moving forward. We need to be courageous to continue to take risks and be innovative. Compliance, I think, is there more as a checks and balance, which we need to make sure that we also protect the interest of the stakeholders. So I don't think people should be worried about the compliances, but then they should focus more on the solving the problem. And of course, compliance is an important aspect which has in no scope of missing that out. So to believe in the story, I think there is a lot of positive potential ahead, and there is a lot of positive things that the startup ecosystem could do for India as we go forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nitin.
I think we have discussed most of the points. I'll just close with it. I think the most important point for any startup who has raised fund, and from anyone, friends, government, or anyone, and has been able to manage or raise fund, follow the compliances, because all these compliances are going to protect the company, are going to protect the environment ecosystem, and this will build more confidence in India and the startup ecosystem. There is a ease of business. Government is doing its best, what it can be done. There are challenges, no doubt about it. We are a huge country, but believe the compliance is the most important part of the business. If that is there, the valuation, the value in the business will automatically get created.
Thank you very much. Madam Ishapuriya.
Yes, sir. So just to add on to what both my co-panelists have just mentioned, that prevention is better than cure. So please take focusing on your compliance at the initial stages as an investment, rather than, spending a lot of time, efforts, and money in paying a penalty at a later date, and, losing out on valuable time when you're negotiating with your investors in trying to deal with these red flags and closing these issues. So please focus on that investment in terms of making sure that you're working with good professionals. There are a lot of professionals under various stages which are available and willing to help and work with startups. So please take advantage of those and make sure that you are compliant right from the beginning, rather than dealing with these non-compliance issues at a later stage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Respected Praveen, sir.
I think all my co-panelists has added, but I want to just say one liner kind of a thing. It's a kind of a health checkup. Like we do our quarterly, monthly or something. If doctor has prescribed certain things, so we must follow that for our healthiness. It's a likewise for the company as well. If there is certain regulation, checklist is there, you should follow, and it's easy to follow. And
I agree with you.
be healthy financially.
You are very optimistic. All such compliances must be there, what you're talking about. And you would say even the clean regulation or something like that, what you are mentioning. I think a zero tolerance, what you're talking also.
Yeah, the zero tolerance, you see, there are from the, if you are non-compliant, so there is a thing from the government as well. We have seen there are a lot of startups who are facing issues for the non-compliances. And your company, because you are creating the company for what? You are creating the company for the value creation, for the stakeholder value creation, for your value creation. You are trying to solve the problem and you want to do some innovation, but ultimately the value creation. If you are non-compliant, so your value from the like 1 billion, it could be easily to be like we have seen a couple of, it becomes zero.
You're right. Compliance is a must. I agree with you. For a stakeholder, other thing, compliance must be there. Thank you very much. At the end, I express my gratitude on behalf of the Resurgent India and myself to all the eminent panelists who shared their experiences. I think with their experience, it is benefited to the startup who are listening to us, to the bankers, brothers, and to the entrepreneurs who are listening to this webinars for that. So I'm thankful to my off the screen who managed the show, Mr. Rohan, Mr. Lokesh, Mr. Joginder, Mr. Chaudhary, who is not coming on the screen. Lekin without them, I think it is very difficult for me to handle, to moderate, and to give our thoughts to the participants. I think they are the main architect of this webinar. So I'm thankful to them also. I'm thankful to the Resurgent staff and above all to all the participants. With this word, I close the session. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.